Hello, my name is Tobias Heiler and I'm one of the founders of BrainBoost. In this webinar, we will show you how you can easily create your own protocols in the BrainAssistant. The protocols can be neurofeedback or biofeedback protocols. This way, you can fit the needs of your clients easily to adjust some protocols and fine-tune whatever you like. There will be a second webinar where we can go one level deeper so you can have even more adjustment on your protocols you design. Have fun designing your own protocols.
All right. So, thanks for being here. And let's start. I'm going to share my screen. As always, this webinar will be recorded and you can ask questions in the chat and you can ask questions, of course, in between. Then I will see if it makes sense. So I'll try to have an eye on one screen for the questions, but then afterwards, of course, you can ask questions. Yes. So I think you should be able to see my screen. Maybe you can give me a short hint in the chat or some emoji reaction or something. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. All right. So let's start. As always, we have a lot of hardware connected, and we are working closely on another hardware that will be connected shortly. So also, if you know somebody, okay. Hello, one more joined. We just started. So we have a lot of hardware connected to our BrainAssistant. If you know somebody, another hardware manufacturer that might be interesting to connect to our software, of course, you can give us the contact and we can see what we can do. There's one other hardware manufacturer we're closely working together now and that might be joining that list, so stay excited. Now, today's topic is how to create your individual protocols in BrainAssistant. So as you know, we have a lot of pre-built protocols already. And to these protocols, of course, we constantly with updates, we give you new protocols we build. But of course, sometimes the protocols we give you, we kind of thought them through, of course, but we have a ton of individual protocols depending on the QEEG we do, depending on some studies we read, and maybe you say, I don't find that protocol there. I kind of want to build that my own. So how do I do that? So this is what I'm going to explain in this webinar to you, how you can build your own protocols. Before that, there's a new update available in your BrainAssistant. So that once you start it and you have internet connection, top right, it says update available. And please do that update because it comes with a really, really cool feature we added to the BrainAssistant. And I will show that first, just very briefly, because this webinar will be recorded, so you can rewatch it if I'm talking, I know, fast. But this is something I want to show you. This is something you're really going to benefit from. So when you start a training, you will see, except for my media devices, but you will see the raw EG. And these two buttons here that I circled for you, they are with the orange circle, they are new. I know they're kind of hidden, but let's see what happens when we press these buttons. So when you press one button, this would be this one. Let me go back here, this one. This will, it's like a tiny little arrow pointing to the left. It will it will make you get rid of all these comment section, annotation, etc. And then when you press the middle button, it will split, give you a split view. So you have more space for data, and I will show you that. So let's say we start a training session. As always, I have in the background, I have a simulation running. So of course, some things will look different. So here we have a signal check. So here you see my mouse cursor. I will get rid of the comments because if you write a comment, yeah, patient 10 minutes late again, this might not be very nice to show this, but if you might want it to your client, but if you want to show the client the raw EG or some data, for example, some amplitudes, then you want to drag this over. So you can here get rid of that. See this one? So you can also here change the x-axis. So for example, plus to do to 20 seconds. Now you have more space to display the amplitude graph. And you can now split this. And now I have the EG, the amplitudes. Also what you can do, for example, is you here have spectrum bars. So for example, spectrum bars two-sided, depending on how many channels you have attached. Obviously, if you just have ZZ, SMR, then you only have one channel. But here in my background, I have CZ. And for example, I can compare it to FZ. Might be interesting for some people. Of course, we have spectrum bars here as well, where you can scroll through depending on how many channels you have attached. And of course, if you still want the comments, this will stay. So you can split even with a smaller amount of screen available. Depends on your screen. And if you have, this doesn't make sense, if you have a Windows computer and use zoom to 125%, 150%, then this might look overwhelming. So I might want to check this one out. But it's a pretty cool function. And also the bottom here, we have 4 training conditions: theta, alpha, SMR, high, beta. If you have more, then there's space for more. So take a look at that. It might be pretty cool feature. So do your updates. It might not be, it is a pretty cool feature. Come on. So now it's about protocols. So if you take a look at protocols we already have, this is how you can view a protocol. What does it have? It has a name, pretty obvious. So here our protocols are usually named a little, not cryptic, but about positions and functions of the protocol. So this is named central SMR and beta protocol. And other protocols, if I go back, they have also different names. So for example, here we go, left hemispheric activation, central SMR. So they are not super emotional naming. So if you say, I want to create my own protocol and I want to name it like the super duper relaxation, ultra calming down protocol, then go do it. So you can give a name whatever you want. You can give tags. Now, usually the tags are some sort of for filtering, but the tags are also there that you get a broad idea. Okay, what is this protocol about? Maybe I read about this is for a calm focus. So you can later on filter it and give a brief idea also to your colleague, maybe, what this protocol is supposed to be about. Our protocols, they have some labels that says eyes open, some labels say eyes closed. It's a suggestion, of course. It really depends, and you can do trainings with eyes open and eyes closed as much as you want. But for many training protocols, we at least experience this protocol, for example, what we see right here is a focus protocol. Most people have usually a better experience focusing when they have their eyes open and watch a movie or play a game, so they have some sort of control. So you don't you do exclusively this with eyes open. No, you can also do it with eyes closed, but this is at least what we experience. Here with this star, when you press it, we will see this later, you can create this as a favorite, and so it will be pinned on top of your list. So when you create your own protocol, so you say, this is something I really like to do many, many times, then press the favorite button and it will be pinned on top. These are positions of the active electrodes. This is a head we watch from above. So this is the nose, left ear, right ear. And here we see, okay, the active electrodes are C3, C4, and of course we then need reference and ground. And these are the training parameters. So here in this case, we want to train theta. The arrow pointing down means inhibit theta, and alpha inhibit SMR reward, so arrow pointing up, and high beta training down. Now, this is how we read this. And when we create a protocol, we kind of want to fill all these well, tags, name, suggestion, favorite, etc. So let's go. Come on. Now, I already worked my way through to where I can choose a protocol. This says pre-built protocols. And I can, and this is the first thing why we would give tags away, I can show protocols with, and this is a filter thing. For example, a goal. I could say, just show me protocols that are good for relaxation. And now we see protocols that just have the tag relaxation, okay, here. So don't go super crazy if you don't give them tags. And of course, you can say, or also show me control protocols. And these, I know it's very simple wording maybe, but also it should get, it gets the job done to get somewhat of an idea. So this is why you want to give away tags. But of course, you can also filter by region. So just show me protocols where we're at the back of the head. So this is where I'm going to place protocols at the back of the head. Of course, you can filter by activity and channels. Take a look. So what we can now do first is we want to press create a protocol. So we press this button. Now, a protocol, of course, needs a name. So this name is going to be super awesome. Webinar February English, right? And here we can give a tag. So let's say, sure, this is going to be a control. I'm doing random stuff now, so don't build the same protocol I'm doing, and it's going to be deep relaxation. So we have tags here. Of course, you can go crazy and put more and more on that, but it's like when you write your final bachelor's or something, and then you press say final version 2, final version 3+1. Don't go too crazy with these tags. I will come to individual. We will do a custom protocol because we create our custom individual protocol. And I know it's confusing, the word individual and custom, but we will use a custom protocol. I will come to that part. And now what we can do is we can add something. And it's quite easy. When we add something, we can here select in a drop-down menu. Let's say we want to train theta activity. And now we select a position. Let's say we want to train, I'm doing random stuff now, okay? Let's do theta position, theta activity on ZZ. And here, so we see already, the right side, it says, okay, theta, arrow pointing down, so inhibit. On ZZ, here's ZZ. If I press this button, this changes, and later it's a reward condition. So we can easily change this. By the way, you can later on in a live protocol, also our pre-built protocols, change this one. It will not remember this for next time, but within a training. Okay, so let's say we add something, and what else we want? We want low beta also on ZZ, and we want it to be rewarded. Okay, nice protocol. Now we're gonna add another theta on position, doing a random position, okay, PZ, for example. So now train theta on ZZ, theta on PZ. Let's add some more stuff. Let's add high beta, and I want it on ZZ also inhibit. I kind of like high beta to also be inhibit on PZ, so I'm going to add this. You know what? No, I'm going to add PZ over here because I already have high beta. Now this is important. Okay, there is slides on that as well, so you can rewatch the slides, but it's actually not too complicated. Now we have theta on ZZ, theta on PZ, we both gonna inhibit it. And now we have high beta on ZZ and PZ to inhibit it. So here's the question, well, is there a difference, yes or no? There's a huge difference. What we see here is we're gonna see later the bar, right, that you're used to going up and down the value, so the amplitude value of theta on ZZ and on theta on PZ. And here we're just gonna see one single bar of high beta, and what we're going to look at here, what we're looking at here is we're going to see a mean value. So what this now does is it takes the value, so the amount of high beta on ZZ, plus it takes the amount of value on PZ, and then divides it by 2. So we only have, so the advantage now is we only have one high beta condition to take care of, right, to adjust the threshold, but it's going to be a mean value. So we'll not be able to see when this is increasing, is it high beta value of ZZ or PZ or both that caused the a higher amount of high beta now. So we will lose some information in while the training process, of course, because we cannot distinguish if it was high beta at ZZ or PZ, but it makes it easier for us to control the training. Because if we had too many parameters and say, no, we're gonna here go PZ here as well, and throw out PZ here, then we already have 5 training parameters. So if we end up having, and then we say, you know what, have a little bit of alpha on PZ as well, that might be cool. So here, reward, then we already have 6 training parameters. So at some point, we gotta make that call. Is it too much we're training here? Do I lose the overview? Or, and do I really care if there's high beta on PZ or ZZ? So here it's up to you to make that call where you kind of want to say, I'm throwing this in, create a mean value, throw this one out. Maybe theta is important for me to see that. Yeah, and then keep those 2 separate, but this I throw together. So I have 5 of them. So this is something that is really important to understand. And of course, if you say, you know what, I want a mean value, but I want it on P7 and T7, just random positions, then here it says 4 because at some point we don't have enough space to have all of this listed here. So here, for example, it would be 1, just high beta, a parameter, but the mean value of all of these positions, okay? So now we have a protocol and it says custom. I will come to the part in a second, and I will come to that later. Now what we're going to do is we press save, and now here it says pre-built protocols. So when I scroll all the way down, it says here custom protocols, and now it says Webinar February English. And this is a protocol we can just use. Now here's a question for all of you. If you have a device that already has like a cap or already the electrodes pre-built, I think one of our audience views, for example, is a Zito device. They don't need to position electrodes by hand, but if you have loose cables, let's say channel 1, 2, 3, and you want to position them, you need to know which position is channel 1 now ZZ or is channel 1 now PZ, right? So you gotta make sure it's in the right order. Now, if I select this protocol here, and I know, here it says channel 1 ZZ, channel 1 PZ. This is obviously wrong. I'm having a version to demonstrate stuff. So this is a mistake here. Please don't pay attention. In your case, when you watch your hardware, then it's gonna say channel 1, ZZ, channel 2, channel 3, etc. Trust me. Also, the order from the top and then working its way down is the order of channel 1, 2, 3, etc. So in this case, channel 1 would be PZ, and then channel 2 would be ZZ. You can just try it out. How can you try? You can place the electrodes, and then once you place them on the head, you just fool around, for example, with one. So, for example, with PZ, and you see where there's a huge, where this huge bad signal arousing. So you know, okay, I placed the wrong cable on the right, right cable on the right position. So this is how you're going to find out as well. But this in your version will work just fine. And now, if you say, I need to scroll down the entire way, I mentioned this. You can press this star, and it will pin it up to your favorites. Of course, you can also select, I like this C3, C4. So they will all be there at your favorites, okay? They will still be here. So they're not, they will kind of be copied. So it will still be at their original position. Now what you can do with the protocol, you can also here press edit. Now I know we're working on it, but at this point, when you edit, you can only edit the name. You cannot edit the functions. We're working on that, okay? So once it's built, it's built. But what you can do is you can export it. When you press export, you create a .bata file, like .pdf, and then you can just import it on somebody else's computer if you want to. Now, this is now a protocol that we just created. And here's another, so we can pin it up there. And let's go back. I want to show you something else we can create. Or no, let's create first something, because I promised something else, and some people might have done a sneak peek. Let me see here, HRV. Yes, of course, we get that question a lot. Our BrainAssistant can also handle biofeedback. So it really depends on your hardware, on the sensors, but what we can do is we can create a protocol, name that Webinar HRV English. And now what we can do is we can say, okay, I want to train HRV, heart rate variability. And our position, of course, obviously you don't need to give a position on the head because you're placing it. And I have a slide on it where you can place that. We can say ECG, sorry. And this just means here there's no position on your head. It just means, okay, it's an HRV. Of course, you want this to go up. And then we can say save. And now we have it here. Now, one more thing. Create protocol. And now, sorry, we need to go back one more time. Now let's create a protocol. And we also give this a name. Webinar FEB English 2. Now I said we did custom. Now let's do individual. So I press individual and let's add something. Doesn't matter. Alpha. I created a protocol that didn't say custom. It said individual. Now what this does is it says here John Sample, and you see demo client John Sample. This was a protocol I created when I was with the user John Sample. Okay, the nickname is demo client. The real name, first name is John, last name is Sample. So this was John Sample's protocol. Okay, so I have an individual protocol. These are custom protocols. Now, some people ask me the question, and now what happens if I have a different user? And remember this one, it says John Sample written in blue, okay? Now what happens if I say I have another user, change client, like say I got Erika Mustafa. I have another user and I kind of feel Erika, she could benefit from John Sample's protocol as well. Then, of course, it is still there. But now here's the name. It's not written in blue because we haven't selected John Sample now. We are with Erika Mustafa. So it's like John Doe in German, sorry. and we are with her now. So at least it marks us. This is not, if we cannot compare the name, if we very fast moving, it says us this is actually meant for another patient, but of course you can use it. So to answer this question, I got a lot the last webinar. Yes, when you create a protocol, also custom protocols, it will always be available for all clients you select. But this is also a little hint, and it gives you another section. We have the pre-built protocols, then we have the custom protocols, and the individual at the very bottom. So you don't get overwhelmed with a whole bunch of protocols that you create. Okay, so this might be interesting if you really do a specialized protocol for somebody where you feel this is a very important person. Now, one more thing I want to show you, because this comes with many other custom protocols. Something I get asked, and this is going to be important for later, is here, depending on what hardware you have, and I'm going to get out here and go and record a session. Depending on what hardware you have different caps, right? Because the caps, they have different wiring, each cap, depending on the hardware manufacturer. And if you have, for example, if you have a Neurofeedback Optima, then you just select dynamic mapping, because it just says, okay, I have a training protocol and it says me ZZ is channel 1. So I use channel 1. Now, when you want to do a recording, for example, here an EEG recording, if somebody's sitting there and you don't have a cap, okay? For example, you have a thought technology or you have a Neurofeedback Optima. Then what you can do is here say add new or create. If you press add new, we can type in a title and say, for example, and I showed this some people in this call already, but I can give it give a name. For example, Y shape, F3, F4, ZZ, PZ, like a Y shape. And then say, you know what, channel 1 is position F3. You know what, channel 2 is position F4. Channel 3 is position ZZ. And this is, if you use a cap that has a fixed montage, then of course it's not relevant for you. But what I now did, I told the BrainAssistant, hey, what I am gonna attach channel 1 on my device. It doesn't say a position because I can place it wherever I want. But now if I do a recording here, F3 is gonna be channel 1 is gonna be F3. If you misplace it, of course you get in trouble. But now I can say select, and now you see F3, F4, ZZ, PZ. So this is now where this gets relevant, because I get asked this question quite a lot when it comes to protocols, where we don't need that though in a protocol. So here you see I could select this one, but you can select either a cap, it has a fixed montage, or you can say dynamic mapping. Why dynamic mapping? So you don't need to add a new one, a custom one, because here it already says C3 is going to be channel 1, C4 is going to be channel 2. It comes later in my version, it doesn't show that. I will correct that in the next version. And so we don't need to select a mapping or create anything here. That's why you need to select when you don't have a cap or a device that already has them placed on a position where we need to where you need to don't need to select it, do a custom mapping. Now, I know here when I go in the mapping, it also says bipolar, right? And when you click around, it says active reference and bipolar channel 1. It looks complicated. And when I go in later into creating a new protocol, it says add bipolar channel advanced. Okay, what do I have to do here? Now, let me get back to my slides. I will recap first, and then I will come to that part. Here you can create a protocol. You can here filter on positions, protocol text, etc. This is something I explained. This theta on CZ says inhibit theta on CZ because there's an arrow pointing down. This says inhibit theta on C3, C4, and this says inhibit theta on 4 channels. If you see this, it means it's one bar. It says theta on position C3 plus the amplitude of theta on C4 divided by 2, so you have a mean value of both of these. It gives you overview, but of course, while the training, you cannot really identify was theta now a huge burst on C3 or C4. It has upsides and downsides. So this is different than this. Here you have two different bars. So you gotta pay attention. Is how is the success rate going individually? So here it's easier to handle, but I also get the advantages of this. This is up to you. The HRV. How I like to do it when you have HRV channels, but there's a ton of different approaches, obviously, and you can put the electrode in whatever place you want. You can do this with an Apple Watch, for example. Place your right finger, index finger, on this crown, I think it's called in English, and then it will do the same what we do here. It will measure the electric signal here on, this is a left hand, on the left hand, so you can place a sticky electrode that you use only once, for example, on the left side, and the reference on the right side. So we'll measure the difference of the electric signal and give you a pretty good HRV and pulse value. The ground you can just put on the left hand as well. Of course, there's different montage to it, but this is something when people ask us where I say, you can place these 3 electrodes on that and then try the biofeedback protocol you just created. So this is a little hint. I will send these slides around anyways. Now the mapping that I showed you. If you have a cap, then it's already safe for our software to know this electrode is there because you cannot move these electrodes away. If you have an adapter, so you have many different cables hanging around, or if you have an adapter, you can use dynamic mapping because protocols already have a channel mapping. If you use protocols, they already know, okay, channel, or tell you channel 1 on the adapter will be something, C3, whatever. If you create a custom mapping, this is for EEG recordings without a cap, okay? So this is kind of not really in the protocol creation area, but it gets asked many, many times. So it says what channel is on what position if you don't use a cap. Now, sorry, yeah, I will come to the bipolar selection. The registration for future webinars. We will not send around new forms in the future. It's just going to be a one-time sign up is enough. Like, for example, people that are here already I have their email addresses. You get a follow-up email with slides, and of course the YouTube. We're going to upload the YouTube recorded webinar on YouTube. I will come to Francesco. I will come to your question, you get a direct Google invite like this one, and that's fine. There will be a general registration form. I will send around so people that have never been in a webinar, they can fill this out. So for you who have already filled out a form, you will get the direct invite and you will get a follow-up email. I think with the last one, some people had problems getting it. So it's on YouTube already, but I will send this one around as well. Now, I still owe you an explanation for, I will come to the question, but also for the bipolar channels. And there was more on add new and EMG muscle tension, right? This is going to be the next webinar. I know, half an hour is already over. It's going to be on 11th of April. Sorry, guys, I just have too much on my calendar, and you got to give me some time to prepare, right? So there's going to be Create Your Individual Protocols in BrainAssistant, Volume 2. I know, very fancy name. I was super creative in that moment. So this is where we're going to dive deeper. What it is with the bipolar stuff and with the EMG muscle tension. So this is going to be pretty interesting. And until that, you get homework, create your protocols. You can even just copy one of my protocols, right? Just look at a pre-built protocol and say, I'm going to copy that just to get into that rhythm. It's quite easy. And so when you read an interesting study, you can create your own protocol. If you have a nice brain map, you can create your own protocol. So that's pretty cool. So I think that seems like that's it. And we all can go to bed, or some people here got to start their working day. So depending on where you are, thanks for attending. I hope we see you next time in April. Thank you for the applause. And then, yeah, if you have questions, write me an email. Happy to answer. Okay, so take care and bye-bye.